Bubba Scrubba, Stream of Consciousness, Volume 1, Episode 30? Marker. Monday morning. Hope everybody's doing good. Let's get into some rage bait. Talk about Trump. Well, this guy. What is there to say? I mean, you know, let's start off with this interview that he had with this Caitlin, whatever her name is. You know, he goes to Wisconsin to glad hand the farmers to say how great everything's going in his economy when it's anything but. Obviously, one of the big things with that is the lack of fertilizer that's going through the Strait of Hormuz, which is controlled by the Iranians. And that's some brewing catastrophe. But, you know, hey, not in his world. All he has to do is just make up some shit and say, no, everything's going great. Right? And then he sits there and sits down for this interview, and she starts asking him, oh, give us some proof about your election denial stuff. And like he always does, he has no concrete proof. It's all just him talking. It's all just him saying, oh no, stop the steal, you know, whatever. It's all a bunch of horse shit. And then when actually confronted with a question where he can't actually lie his way out of it or use some kind of bullshit deception, he gets up and storms off like the little girl that he is. And I mean, when you watch this guy sitting there, it looks like he's literally decomposing in front of us in real time. And then he gets up and you watch him walk away and you can see the outline of his diaper, which you can see it multiple times. One of the most prominent ones is when he was back doing WWF still, which was like 15 years ago, if not longer. And he's punching McMahon in the face. He's on top and he's punching McMahon in the face. And you can clearly see the outline of a diaper. This guy's been wearing a diaper for 20 years. But hey, you know, he kicks on the makeup and does his little swoop over and wears his stupid ties and his gangster suits and wears a diaper. But he's a man. He's the epitome of masculinity in this country. I mean, it's so stupid. I mean, it's so comical, this whole thing. Just the way he acts. You know, and then I guess, you know, what most people don't really realize is that afterwards, he probably called her and first of all, he has this reporter's personal cell phone, no doubt. And then after he stormed off and he got on the airplane and flew back to Washington or wherever the hell he went, he was right on the phone with her saying, hey, that was all for show. We're good, right? We're good. Apparently that's what he does. That's his MO. He blows up on people on camera because it looks good, because it's showmanship. And then afterwards he calls these people that he heretofore insults or treats like garbage and then apologizes and says, oh, no, we're good, right? We're good. I just did that for show. So I'm not going to get too outraged about all that. And we get into, you know, this whole thing with the Israelis bombing Iran again, and Iran bombing them again, and he's sitting there saying, I hold all the cards. I'm the one calling the shots. No, you're not. The Israelis are calling the shot because obviously Mossad has all the unredacted Epstein files. So they've got all the juice on you. So does Putin. And at this point, probably so do the Iranians. I mean, God only knows where it ends. The foreign governments and intelligence agencies that actually have the unredacted files. Obviously, MI6 has the PP tape, which is something that he railed against. And when you say, you know, when you're so vehemently opposed to it, you know, tell me you're guilty without telling me you're guilty, you know? Tell me you got peed on by some Russian hookers without saying it explicitly. So, you know, I mean, the fact that this guy keeps trying to pretend like somehow there's a deal. Oh, you know, it's like all market manipulation, right? So, they go into the weekend and things are going to shit. And then Monday morning, oh, they're on the precipice of a deal. Just goosing the market. And the guy, he executed, what did they say, 3,500 trades in the first quarter of this year? And made millions of dollars. There's the NVIDIA trade, which is the most egregious, where he bought $1 million worth of NVIDIA stock. And then later on that week, his administration said they would lift the restrictions on them exporting their chips to China. I mean, and you know what? For a third of this country and a majority of the residents of where I live, this is perfectly fine or can be explained away. It's not corruption. It's him being a deal maker. You know, he's a businessman. And you're the fucking president. And you're supposed to be above reproach. Supposed to be. But now we got this thing. Oh, we got game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight. I don't really watch basketball anymore, but I've been watching some of these games because I got the super box and I can do it. The first couple of games I've watched all year, actually. And here we are, game 3. First game in Madison Square Garden in 25 years. People in Manhattan are losing their minds. And I mean, it's great. It's good for the city. It's good for the sport. It's been a very competitive series. Hopefully tonight's a really good game. But who's going to be there? Fucking Trump. So here we are, the city of New York, you know, they're finally like, oh, we've got something going for us. We're feeling good. We're flying high. And he has to come in and still try to steal their shine, steal the spotlight somehow, get his fucking photo ops. I mean, it's egregious. It makes me fucking sick. This guy, he's so pathetic in his narcissism, and he's so pathetic in his, you know, quest for adulation from the masses, which he'll never get. And all that does is just reinforce that he's being persecuted. I mean, this is the most persecuted man in America. He's a billionaire, right? He's declared bankruptcy how many times? He's won 2 terms as the president. Yet he's the most persecuted man in America. More so than any minority, any gender. No, him. This fucking 80-year-old white guy. I mean, it is ridiculous. And the only thing that's even more ridiculous are the amount of people that still buy into this bullshit. You want to talk about brain dead? You want to talk about part of a cult? I didn't live in Jonestown. I mean, I was alive, but I was just a little baby. And, I mean, I guess the Branch Davidians, I don't know. I mean, there's been a few Heaven's Gate things that I've seen in my lifetime. But I had no real idea on how these people, you know, it's so isolated, right? I mean, these cults, maybe they're a few hundred people, 1,000 people. They're, you know, in some compound in the middle of nowhere or in another country. And it's very unlikely that you would probably know somebody who was in the cult or were adjacent to somebody else who knew somebody that was, so that you could really understand the mindset. But one thing that Trump has made very clear and has made very, has clarified for me is, what does a cult member look like? What does a cult look like? And the people who worship this guy and vote for him and explain away all of his faults and explain away all of his crimes and misdemeanors, they're in the cult. And quite honestly, I can't deal with it. Can't deal with them. Anyway, so yeah, he's going to go to this basketball game. He won't even stay for the whole game. He'll just show up for the beginning, leave at halftime, inconvenience everybody, waste taxpayer dollars to do that. There's a reason why no sitting president has ever attended a Super Bowl, or no sitting president has ever attended an NBA Finals game. I mean, because it's not about them. It's about the athletes on the field. Yeah, call afterwards when they win. You can call them in the locker room and say, hey, congratulations, and here's an invitation to the White House months later. That's appropriate. But to actually sit there, you're making it all about yourself. They said the officials at MSG were basically like, show up 2 hours before tip-off because you're going to have to wait in a long-ass security line. No bags, basically come empty-pocketed. They said basically prepare like you're going to the airport. Same kind of security measures, same kind of restrictions. I mean, ridiculous. And then you got this stupid-ass UFC fight this weekend on the White House lawn, which is another fucking grift. I was reading that there was a couple of civilians from Virginia that have filed a lawsuit that basically said that the whole thing is illegal because This is a for-profit corporation, a for-profit venture on public land, which is strictly forbidden, it's strictly illegal. And this guy doesn't give a fuck. He's building some gigantic freaking arch on the back lawn there. I'm sure the whole thing will look cool when it's actually coming off. And of course, I'll probably tune in and watch. Not that I would ever pay for that shit, but just to see the spectacle of it. But which, I don't know, I guess I have to admit, if I'm sitting here railing against this guy and I'm like, well, I'll still watch, what does that say about me? But, again, it just seems so tacky and tasteless and just, it's like shitting in a gold toilet, right? I mean, anyway, today I have a pretty good attitude about it, I guess. It's just so stupid. And this guy's losing his fucking mind in front of all of us. And, he's got access to the nuclear codes, So as I kind of hinted at in an earlier video, I really do hope that when this cocksucker decides, when he finally snaps and decides to drop the bomb on Iran, which is probably a foregone conclusion at this point, considering the fact that he can't get out of this fucking war, and this would be the only way out, that the military commanders that are in charge of putting through that order countermand it and tell the nuclear forces to stand down, that it is an illegal order and that this guy has completely lost his fucking mind. And then the cabinet, hopefully, will have no choice but to invoke the 25th Amendment, because no sane person would ever order a nuclear strike. So we'll see about that. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a good Monday. I'll talk to you guys soon.